Hey, what's up, everyone? This up and rolling. There we go. Party showing up. Your all homework have been crushing it. It's been really, really good on the homework. Good job. Okay. Sound good, Sean. No worries. Glad to be able to jump in with us for a second. All right. While we're waiting for a few more people to jump in, does anyone have any questions from stuff that we've covered earlier today when it comes to day trading options or stuff that they've run into? Anything on that
Uh,
front?
Tony, uh, I didn't even think about it until afterwards, but did you consider, or maybe did you hedge those few puts you bought this morning on SPY? I didn't even think to hedge it, and I don't think you did.
No, I didn't hedge it. Once it took off, it never looked back. So it was one of those squeezes where it's like, dang, it's
Well,
probably just
yeah,
gonna run. But no, I didn't hedge
never
it.
pull back.
If it would have given me a decent pullback early enough, I would have for sure exited the puts. I started talking about that on Slack. I was like, I'm gonna get out of these, and then as soon as I said that again, it had a big old rip and roar. So, if it would have given us some opportunities, for sure. The main thing whenever I'm doing some hedges is I just want to make sure that I'm not adding to the risk. So if I were to buy calls and then it kind of fizzles out, now I'm losing twice the size. And so that's the one thing to make sure and avoid. I mean, today would have been fine, but that was the reason why I wanted a good pullback for an entry.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But I mean, yes, we could have done something with it if there was an opportunity. Most likely I would have just closed out for a smaller loss. But man, very, very wild and crazy leading into PAL. These markets are really giving it to everybody. So it's been a fun month. No doubt. It's been a fun month. Um, Real quick, while we're waiting on a few more people to jump in, and if as always, if you have any questions on day trades, 100, yeah, Jeff, there's no pullback on anything. It was just a full out squeeze. The amount of people in bearish that was like, holy crap. And then the gap was super bearish. And you could just see the moment when all the bears were like, exit, just straight up. Crazy, crazy. Um, Over here on Starbucks. So I've even noticed like we have a really nice pennant coming through here. It's potentially still forming a pennant pattern. But I noticed this right here. See how these are matched up really nicely? And then look at the retest on that green candle, right to the bottom of that pennant pattern, which means Starbucks could have a little bit lower to go. It's possible that this pattern's already broken. We are in a really solid up channel right now that's respecting very nicely. I mean, really good retest, like rejection, 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 strong sell off there. And now it's kind of just hanging out, getting ready. We'll see if this is going to be something to bring it down here. This is on a monthly chart, but we'll find out. Just looking at a few random things here. Okay, let's go back over SPY. Let's go back over SPY real quick. And let's take a look at today's price action on day trades. Okay. So, first things first, it made a heck of a lot of sense for it to try to come back down and fill this gap. Like this 509.50 was 510 area was a great place for it to get to. And this is where the bulls should have been yesterday. Remember, they should have been there all day today and they are all day yesterday and they just weren't. So that's pretty weak. And then it gaps down. Okay. Gaps down, kind of hangs out. No real bull commitment here yet. In fact, it looks pretty weak. We're on a 5-minute chart. And so we're letting this thing just build a picture. It should, based on this, right? Bears look like they're in control. It should start working its way back up to some EMAs. and then start moving over. We knew and recognized early this morning that we were oversold on the RSI, which means probably not going to have much of a move bearish. So we would need to try to get into this thing as high as we possibly could. And I feel like we did a really good job at that. So this thing's just kind of squeezing, not bad. It's back up into the EMAs. Again, I believe it can go a little bit higher, and that's where we would have gotten in. Everything right here based on this makes a lot of sense for a move lower, right? So it does start to commit down, and we start to find some sort of bottom here. It didn't quite make it to that low, but it was pretty dang close. I mean, we are getting the hesitation here, which could tell us that the bears are starting to lose a little bit of steam. And then there's your strong close up above what could be potentially a higher low. I thought that we had a little bit high, right? I don't think we quite made it down to that low. I don't think we did. No, we didn't. So I didn't count that a higher low or anything like that. Or sorry, lower high. So in my opinion, it didn't break anything. And now we're getting to the point where we start buying our puts. We waited for it to get to that 10 EMA on a 15. This is about the spot where bears, if they're going to step in, is pulling over. So if we take a look over here at a 15-minute, right, we can kind of see where it's at. We're starting to put in some upper wicks. The wall of fortress of EMAs is right in front of us. There is a high probability that this would be the spot to at least roll back down to 511. Such a high probability that that's where it could go. And so once we start getting one of these candles right here, boom, we start getting cranked through. Look at the volume. That's a lot of people exiting. That is a lot of people exiting. And this was about the time where I'm like, something might be a little funky. And then it just rampages. Absolutely rampages. This was, looking back, this was probably my last shot to get out, but I wanted it just a smidge lower. And I still thought that we would move down. Remember, we still are on all bull candles in a row right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 bull candles in a row at the resistance, at the gap, starting to put in some wicks. I thought we'd for sure get a pull back down, and then I was going to exit. Normally we would. Today is not those days, and then it just was gone. And by the time it got to here, that option was down 80%. There's no point of closing it out. And it just kept squeezing. This was the bears' last chance. So, John, this is what we were talking about, right? If this would have given us a retest, I would have exited those puts, and there's a good chance you could buy some calls. That would have been a decent trade, just understanding the sentiment that it's a squeeze.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if we would have gotten a pullback, man, I've been all over that. But this is why we set it up with an absolute zero. Because the probability, most days, you will at least get a reversal back in through here, and we could lose very small. We probably would have lost 0.4 Rs, maybe 0.5 Rs through here. $150 probably. It just wasn't meant to be today. The markets just, any little pullback that we got just would not, and by this time, they wouldn't pull back. And by this time, so much theta had come by that our break even's all the way down here instead of here. So they were pretty much just doomed. But we bought absolute zeros, and we gave it the best chance. If this would have rolled down and finally visited 511, we would have made $200 to $300. I looked up on my analysis tool when we were sitting through here. So it keeps you in the game, but worst case scenario is you lose 1 R. So that was great. Today was just one of those days where no matter what, it was not going to pull back. Too many bears getting out of everything, and it wouldn't play the game. So by the time we finally did get a pullback, the options were just worthless. There's no value to them. So that was the benefit of doing an absolute zero. If you did this with shares without a stop, again, a lot of people get confused. They're like, you're not using a stop. With options in this specific way, I don't need to use a stop. Do we have any questions on that? Does it seem reckless to a few people here? If so, let me know. I just want to make sure that you understand why this is not reckless, why this is a very easy way to manage risk. Trading is all about managing risk. And if you can buy the amount that you're okay to lose, the worst thing that can happen is you lose the amount you're good to lose. So either you put a stop there and you lose 300, or you buy $300 worth of puts and you just let them lose. No, I mean, yes, you will lose the value that you paid on them, but it's not an absolute zero is only around, it's only if you buy the amount that you, for your R. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to try to explain that. So every option will lose the amount that you spend on it. So if you have a $300 R and then you buy $5,000 worth of puts, yes, it's an absolute. The option is going to lose $5,000 worst case. You're not going to lose 10 grand, but if your R is 300, it's not an absolute zero setup. Does that make sense? Because you're not managing your risk with that. So that's the difference. So yes, buying options will always lose the amount that you spend on them, but an absolute zero setup is spending the amount that your R is. That's technically what that means. Okay. So absolutely the worst thing that can happen is that option goes to zero and you're okay with that because that's your R. Okay. Awesome. I had some people, not some people, a person be like, you're reckless because you don't have a stop. And I'm like, no, you're reckless if you don't have any risk. I have a risk. I don't need a stop if I have a risk unit that is maxed out at my R, right? The most important thing is I lose my R. I don't need a stop to lose my R with options. I can lose $300 by buying $300. And again, this wasn't an example today. It's just previous. If I put $300 worth of puts, I'm going to lose $300. If $300 is my R, I'm not being reckless. I'm just trading in a different way. And the benefit is I can write all this out. And if this would have dropped when everyone else would have been stopped out for an R, I still make money. That's the benefit of it. Just didn't quite work out today. Yeah, hello trading. Well, let's put the whole account on there. Hope I win. Like that's a terrible way to go, right? We do kind of have a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder again. Could we be screaming up? Again, we've had these before. We make a big move and then it drops. So, I mean, it's been all over the place. And really all it's doing for the entire month is just going sideways. And it's possible, my friends, that we rampage out of here. And if it retests some, I'm buying it. Why not? This is a long enough rest for me. We're no longer overbought. And at some point, I've just got to go, okay, I'll have my I'm not going to be putting a whole lot of size on this, but I will start making something on this with a better risk if we get that. Strong closeout, retest. There's a good chance it loses, but this thing could also just go straight to 600 with no pause. So, yep, exactly. Very good. Okay. Let's dive into some other scenarios. Okay. So let's take a look at a good day trading day, which was this gap. Go back to a 5-minute here. So the market's put in a monster gap up on this day. What are we seeing? What are we thinking? Remember, we're thinking about day trading options. So what are a few things you notice right now?
RSI.
RSI's through the roof. We need to pull back 100%. Remember, what's one of the most important things when trading options? Entry. So no matter what, we've got some really good momentum here, but that doesn't mean that we want to buy up here. What is everybody doing up here? They're buying calls. So we don't want to play with everyone. What's everyone going to be doing when this thing pulls back? They're probably buying puts, but they're for sure getting out of their calls. That's where we want to buy it. I don't know what the heck happens today. We'll find this out. If it pulls back to here and cranks out of here, are we doing anything? No. Not we don't want to be getting into calls until people are convinced that it's no longer going higher, even though we understand how this works, right? When people are exiting their calls, that's going to be our time to buy. So let's fast forward this and just see what it does. Okay, so far it's just kind of hanging out. Still a very, very large gap. We're still through the roof. So we need to wait and continue to wait. There's a lot of people buying long options through here. So if this starts to fail, it'll actually bring us our selling. It's holding. It's going sideways. So now we're getting to that point where the RSI is starting to get a little bit less because we've gone sideways long enough, right? So it's drugged the EMAs up to it. Now, if I would want a little bit more of a pullback back down, into this 10 EMA on a 15. If we don't get that, then fine. With it being up this high, we know it's strong. Do we think that it's going to get that large of a move still? Probably not. Probably not. So what are some of our options that we could use? Remember, the way to manage risk, we're going to be buying calls. We know that. But what are some of our options that we can use? We're talking either AB0, absolute zero, to control our risk, having a hard stop in, or having an alert in to help us know when to get out. Okay. Which one of these would you choose and why?
I would choose the absolute zero because for me, it's just easier to, I know what my risk is going in no matter what. I know exactly what I'm going to lose.
Yeah. It makes trading very simple, right? And there is a high chance that even if this thing does go lower, it's probably going to finish higher by the end of the day based on this strength. If it was going to pull back, it would have already pulled back. And yeah, if we get a move up, we can always add. I like that thinking. Remember, so if we decided on an absolute zero, my guess would be an absolute zero is probably what I would use because of the fact that this might stop everybody out and then continue on up. So if I go ahead and have a stop, it's going to be pretty hard to manage risk. Whereas if I do an absolute zero, I can be patient and let this thing rebound because there's a good sense of strength. If we're going to choose that route, what do we need to do then? We need to get a very good entry. Yep, determine the entry. We need to get a very good entry, and we need to be able to allow this to make a large move. So the best way to let this make a large move would probably be to let it pull back either into here or into here. One of those two areas, and depending on what, I don't know what this does, but we're going to really want all the bulls to be getting out. My risk on day trades is 1% of my account. So $300 would be my R for a $30,000 account. That's what I'm using right now. Okay. So let's let everybody get out of these options, and that's where we're going to start buying to see if this will start to bounce back up. So let's start out and just see what it does. I chose a random day. I have no idea what the heck it does. It's still cranking. At this point now, what are the probabilities that we can get another large move? This was basically the move. It never came down low enough. It's pretty low. Welcome to Trading 2024. Yes, exactly. Haven't we have as much of this fun right here? It's just like, what pullback? We'll just keep going. This move now, I'm starting to look at and go, even if it did pull back, it's probably not going to make enough move up. Like that was my move that I needed. The odds of it going all the way up to here now are pretty low. It could happen. We should just be bullish 90% of the time now. Yep. Just only buy long. So this would probably take me out of the game because there's not enough. Would I do this if it was still bullish? It would have to be bullish still on a 15. That's kind of what I'd be going off of based off of this because I think the 5 minutes going to break. As soon as the bears get in is when it's going to rip everyone's face off because on a 15-minute, it's probably just doing this. Makes sense. So I would, as long as it stays bullish on a 15, I'm okay. So if it breaks the 5-minute trend, I'd be fine with that simply just on this sentiment. So at this point now, the day's almost over with. It closes in an hour. I would just pass on today. So I chose one that sucked. But we're finally starting to get the pullback that we wanted. It just took to the very end of the day. Right? So now the very next day, it gaps up. What are we thinking? I'm thinking we've got to be getting close to target. Like, it would need a very steep pullback in order for me to go long. I'm pretty sure it's time for a pullback. Okay. So there's our steep drop. Has it broken anything on a 15-minute yet? It's about to. So the bulls are not really quite coming in yet. We'll see what this thing's got, see if it'll fall back over or not. Oops. Back to a 5-minute here. This would have been about our area to buy calls. There wasn't enough on there. Again, I would probably wait for some sort of setup, and I don't really see anything. If anything, I think we have a bull flag getting ready for it to drop lower, right? Hey. It's still kind of getting bought up, but it's stuck. And then it's just like you get 1 day of movement and then 3 days of sideways, right? This is not really going anywhere. So I don't really see it that whole day. Just kind of a waste. We're stuck in the sideways still. So now we just need to let it strongly get out of the sideways. There's your sideways. Wait for it to break out strongly one way or another. Man, isn't this been so insightful of exactly how this dumb month has been? Really for the past, since the end of February, which I think this is what this is. Yeah, February. It has been nothing sauce. Okay. So now I'm starting to think that it's getting a little bullish. See how we're starting to flatten out here? I really hope so, Nick. I'm ready for the markets. Bullish or bearish, I don't care. Just pick a freaking direction. Let's catch some movement for a day or so, right? Man, these are crappy examples. I'm sorry. I need the markets to move more than we were kind of stuck back. I mean, it just won't freaking do anything. This is rough. And even going back to this, I mean, it's still, even though it is going higher, it's just all over the place. Gap down, move up, gap up, and then put in like 5 bull days in a row, then you know that's going to happen. Huge gap down, then it gets bought up, and then it's just it is all over the place. This is really, really fun. That's the word I'm going to use is fun. Ever since October, I mean, it's just been on an absolute ripping roar. This was pretty easy to trade through here. It was very consistent. Everything else is just going straight nothingness. All right, can I back trade on like a 5-minute something through here? This is a good gap right here. I'm trying to find good gaps for us to trade. Yeah, we can. Sweet. Not fun. Yeah. We've got to be patient. January is normally how I trade, where it was just like very simple, easy trades, making money. I'm done for the week. Everything else has just been a grind because nothing gives me any sentiment. All right, on this one, we've got a nice strong move down. We are starting to get oversold, so now I would be waiting for some sort of rebound, probably back up into the 10 EMA on a 15-minute and looking for some bears. We haven't quite got there yet. Come on, bears. Dang it. Not touching anything. There we go. So nice strong move up. I want one more move up. There we go. Okay, so I got my move back up. This is not a lower high here. So if we wanted to play this, how would you play it and how would you set this up? You could always just do an absolute 0 to leg in, right? Just to kind of feel it out. That's what I like to do. So either half an R or a full R. It's up to you. But if we just think that this is a spot based on the S curve, that this should pull back down and go back to its key level, that's what this setup would be. Multiple candles in a row, kind of up into this area where we think it should find some resistance. Yeah, for me, like I would want to stay bearish on this at the moment because on a 15, it's probably just an S curve. Yeah, move down, perfect S curve, bounce back up. This has probably at least got one more move back in it, is what I would think. That would make the most sense to me. So this is not a lower high here. If this was, then I would hold off. I wouldn't want this thing to be bullish on a 5-minute. Still bearish, so we're good. Okay. I would go ahead and put a feeler out there because this could go higher. Where is the absolute last point that it can get to? I would say right through here. Right? So if I was going to take a trade, I would use a trade with a stop here and actually put a little bit of size on it. Meaning I would have an alert here or a physical stop, whichever one you want. I prefer alerts. And this would allow me to buy. Let's say I would normally buy 5 puts here if I was doing an absolute zero. Okay, $300. I could probably buy 15 puts here. But I would need to get out when it hits this area for about a $300 loss. If I let this keep going, I'm going to lose 900. That's not what we want. So I would look at this and go, all right, this would be the spot that would be a location I'd actually want to put a little bit of size on. So I think you have a very clear stop. Right here is not that location. Why? Why would this not be a location where we want to do a stop on a day trade? What are some of the reasons? 100%. Yeah, it's just too wide of a stop, right? Our stop has to go up here. And so if we did that, then I'm not even getting 1R to this, like 1R there, 2Rs all the way down there. So, and it could still come up to here and stop me out, right? So this would be a situation where I'd want an absolute zero, where I wouldn't want to stop on this. I would kind of do a feeler. And if it starts to work, then we start looking at adding potentially, right? So if we wanted to get in here, what I would do is I would probably do 0.5 Rs. I'm not as convinced right here. Do about half an R's worth of risk and see how it reacts. Okay. So if we wanted to do that, sure, I think this is a good spot. As we get back up into here is where I would be adding in some more size with an actual stop so that I would still lose around 1R here. So I wouldn't be going in like 15 contracts if I was doing some here. But does that make sense? You're kind of feeling your way in to see how it reacts. So let's see this. Okay. So far, it's starting to respect our first entry. It's working good. Do I want to let this thing just go now? No. Right? This, again, was a very nice bear S-curve on a 15. It should get going down. We're only in half an R right now. We've put a feeler out there and it started to work. So now, if we start to reverse back up into this range, I'd go ahead and put my full size on. Again, absolute zero still. But I would have an alert kind of up here to go, if we start getting up above that, I'd probably just go ahead and I'd give it a little bit of time, but it's time to start cutting, kind of like we planned on today, except it just took off. Okay, it's just absolutely rampaging. What do we have to do after 4 candles in a row?
Take some profit.
Yep. We got to take something, if not all. Up to you. This is a green light special right here that we got in and it perfectly worked. So I would probably take something off, maybe get out of half of it. So now I'm in 0.25 Rs. And on a retest, I want to go ahead and get into my real size, my full size. And there's a good chance that now, since I have a lower high here, right, we made it back down to the key level, I can now do an actual stop, alert, whatever you want in here, and do more size to see if this thing will roll over. Ideally, it comes down and then I can add through here. That would be even better, but starting to kind of, there we go. So, dang it, didn't get the follow through. So in my book, this is still pretty hesitancy. I would, yeah. I would love an S-curve here, but because of this nice strong move, I would have probably added back here on a retest. Just because of how strong it was. But ideally, yes, I would like it to make a strong move down and then a retest. This is more hesitancy, which means probably just time to take all my money on this one off. Wait for it to give me a perfect S-curve and then a retest. If this thing starts to bounce now, I wouldn't want to do a retest anymore because this changed everything. If we just went all 4 candles and then a bounce, yeah. And again, I'd only be adding because I'm in half an R. So if I was in 1 R up here, I wouldn't add on a retest. Does that make sense? So I guess I should change the word. It's not necessarily adding back in. It's just kind of like getting into my full size here. If that's how it would have played out. That makes sense. Cool. Let's see if this rotates. There we go. That's my perfect S curve. I'm out of the position. Retest. I can try to get back in one more time if it retests. You jerk. Not going to retest. So now we're kind of hanging out here. This is telling me the target's probably had. So we made a little bit of money here. That's the downside of putting some feelers out there. Again, how often do you actually get 4 candles in a row without some pullback? Not very often, but it can happen. But now it's time to go. This is pretty late in the day, but this is telling me here what? Nice little trap setup, right? Come through, trap, rampage. Probably time for some calls. So we got a pretty good close across there. Retest back through here. Calls. We're getting a little bit late in the day. Come on back down, you jerk. There we go. Oh, I fast forwarded too much. There's your retest. That's your chance to get in right there. Pretty much back to the neckline. That was your chance to get in. How could you have played this one? Well, you know your stop needs to be down here. It's late in the day. I probably would have done another absolute zero on this, but I would probably, based on this sentiment, I would do my 1R full size. Now that we have a new higher low, there's my cut mark right there. So we get a perfect S curve. I would like one more candle to come in, retest. This would be your adding spot, and see if we can't get one more push higher. I'm still waiting on my retest. I needed more candles going up. We've got that now. So now retest here. It's ready to go. How is our options doing that we bought here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the same day. Yep, the day ends right here. This is about, we got in around like 2:30 Eastern. I am exiting this position. It's late in the day. It's made a strong move up. Why would I exit the position instead of taking off some profits? Just time. There's not enough time on this. I don't have 20 minutes for it to do this. Yep. Made a strong move. Take it. You see the difference from being patient over here or whatever? Being patient through here. But once you get that strong move and the market's close in 1 hour, do I have 20 minutes for it to do an S curve? Not really. Yeah. Also overbought, 5 bull in a row. There's a lot of signs saying take it. So this is where, again, where a lot of people get into trouble with buying options with day trading. They go, let me just wait and see if it'll keep going higher. And then you get one bear candle. And what happens to the value of that option? Still good, but it gets slashed pretty hard. I mean, you might be up 200% here, and one bear candle comes in, you're up 140%. Like you can lose. You're not going to go to zero, depending on where your strike is. It could, but it gives up a lot. One of the reasons why it's up so much is because of the amount of people loading into calls. And as soon as it starts to pull back, no one buys any more calls. So we want to sell into strength. Don't let yourself get caught in the game of like, let's see how much higher it can go. More than 4 or more, take it. I would have already exited right here. In fact, I wouldn't even been in for that one more candle. Just because I know I'm going to make my money. I don't need to make the most money. I don't need to squeeze every dollar out of it. I'm already going to be up more than 100% on this. We made a little bit of money here. There you go. Like, take it. Because that one candle right there, it's basically the exact same location of where we exited our trade, but the difference in the value of your options is going to be huge. Huge, huge, huge. Especially this late in the day. Good job. You all are learning stuff. You're all paying attention, going through the option buying courses because you nailed every one of these. The reason why we don't want to hold on to this, right? Earlier in the day, you can afford to be a little bit more patient. within the last 2 to 3 hours of the day, you start looking at taking profits, exiting. So if this was, you know, if the markets had been open for an hour and a half and I got in right here, could I just take off some profits and wait for a pullback? Yeah. It's a perfect S curve. Life is good. Take off half, take off 30% and get back in over here at a retest. This late in the day, it's not the same game because we don't have time. And there's no guarantee that this is actually going to S curve and go higher by the end of the day. All right, let's find out. No guarantee. Sorry, someone have a question?
I needed this I needed this session on January 24th. I had a really good trade that it like instantly went to target, and I'm like, perfect. I made my money. I cut it, and I'm like, I'm done for the day, only to watch it like S curve down like 3 more times. And I'm like, I mean, I'm never disappointed at hitting full target, but it's like, had I known this, that would have been a monster day for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And these days are out there. I mean, tomorrow we could be getting a monster day. Friday, Tuesday, like at some point, these markets are going to move and we will catch those add, and you'll make 10 hours in a day. I mean, shoot, you'll make $3,000 or $4,000 in a day and you'll be like, wow, that was easy. We just need to catch the right momentum, the right thing. I mean, shoot, that could have been today. I honestly thought today was a gas pedal day. That's why I legged in with a little 1R size. And I was like, let's feel it out. You notice I didn't go ahead and just put 3Rs on that because I thought it was going to be good. Like same process, same risk, feel it out. I could have been even more conservative with it. If the gap wasn't so good today, I would have cut at least half when it wasn't working right away. I wanted to be patient with today. It burned us, but over 100 trades, I will make more money following the sentiment. Today was not a normal day. That's okay. We all know that. I mean, the markets the last 4 months haven't been normal. It's been pretty tough. But whenever you can catch each one of those waves, move up, take some profits, enter back in, move up, take some profits, enter back in, move up, take probably at this point, take all the profits. That right there is a 5-hour day, sometimes more. And we will catch those. It's at the right time, at the right place, with the right sentiment, with the right strength, and enough room for it to move. A lot of the times in this market, the move happens in, pre-market. So you'll have a large gap down like we had today, and then that was already target. Instead of closing here and opening here and moving during the day down to here, it closed here and then just opened all the way down here. And that's what we've been getting a lot on. So it makes its entire move overnight, and then there's not that much meat left on the bone for it to move. So you got to have the right gap, the right situation, and really be in sync with it. And then you're just kind of feeling it out. And you get a strong move one direction. Excellent. Retest, add more. Strong move, perfect S curve. Now we've really got it. Take off some pretty good profits here. One more, load back in, and see if we can't get one more push. If we get that, home run. Yeah. So you all are doing a great job at learning the rules of how to day trade these options. There's a lot that goes into it, right? Because with shares, you don't have to think about this. Oh yeah, Nick, me too, man. It's coming. There are going to be monster days. Not just swing trades, but day trades that are coming. I mean, just wait, my friends. Give it a month or two, and I promise you, these markets will reward our patience. Bullish or bearish, it doesn't matter. They will reward our patience, and we will absolutely destroy these things. It'll make up for all the non-trading and all the little losses we've had this month. It'll make up for that and give us 2 months ahead. It's going to happen. So I made a quick little video for you guys. I'm not sure if it's uploaded yet. Dang it, it's going to take another 2 hours. YouTube right now absolutely sucks. I don't know what the deal is, but it takes like 5 hours to upload. Going on vacation next week. Wait for me on those trades. I will do my best. I will tell the markets do not do anything. hopefully you're already in some of those trades, and then you can sit back on your vacation and just print money. I make the most money when I go on vacations because I get into some swing trades and then I go, and then my group messaged me like, what do we do? And I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, holy crap. Yeah, where are you going? Where are you going? We'd love to know, Monica. That'd be awesome. Spain, London, the whole shebang. The whole shebang. Everything. Send us pics. How you fun? I'm also trying to coordinate a group get together, probably here in Utah. I'm thinking somewhere around July or so. So that's in the works. I'm trying. It's hard with a group this big to try to get a location to fit us all comfortably without having us all sharing a bedroom. So it's not easy, but Cancun, let's go. I am working on it. If I can make it happen, I will make it happen. So even I really don't want to break groups up into smaller groups. I'd rather not. I'd rather us all just be there and having fun, but we're gonna make it one way or another. So it'll probably happen after about month 6 or 7, somewhere in there. So cool. My friends, we are just about out of time. This was fun. I was able to do some back trades with you. I actually need it. I'll reach out to you and let you know for sure. We'll see what we can get together on. And I would love to do like a Airbnb that would just fit all of us. It's just tough. I need to try to find like a 15 or 20 bedroom house. They're out there. I just need to try to figure it out. So cool. Back trading is fun, right? Get a chance just to see it. And I know we need more reps, and that's what I'm trying to get in. It's not just the education, it's the reps. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to take the day trade today, which is to try to give us some reps. Unfortunately, I wish it would have worked out better. But give us a chance to exercise some risk. We lost an R. It is what it is. We're going to hit some big home runs eventually. So, okay. I hope you guys have the good rest of your night. I don't want to take you too much longer. I always seem to go over too much, but it's just a matter of time before we hit some of these. And then really all this is, I normally hit these a lot more frequent. It's just, I need the markets to move some, and I need the markets to respect sentiment. Like today was a very bearish sentiment and it just wouldn't quite play. So once the markets decide to actually respect what they're putting out there, then, and honestly, I think they're just waiting for Powell. I don't think we're going to go anywhere anyways this week. And you can just see on a weekly chart, we've been inside candle, inside candle, inside candle. When we break out, trading is going to be pretty easy. We'll find it. We'll catch it. If it gives us a shot to. But okay. Have a good night, my friends. I love you. Thanks for being in my group. Keep smiling. Keep being happy. Again, I have a message coming for you soon here if it'll ever upload to YouTube. But so excited for next month that we talk about emotional control, because I know that's gonna be big. These markets are bringing out the emotions because it's hard trading, and that's normally what brings the emotions out. So my first piece of advice, if you're struggling, wait, because the markets are going to be much easier in probably 3 or 4 weeks. So just wait, hang out, and stay patient, stay hopeful, stay confident. You'll get it. It's going to happen. So let's go. Good night, everybody. I guess. Yeah.